Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com and enjoy the following presentation. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you very much for taking time to be able to do this. Just like I was saying, I really love what this band is going for. I love the lyrical content that's going on there. I love the musical direction of this band, and it's great to see that you were able to start a band like this. How did this all come together?
Well, the whole thing really started with me wanting to do something solo stuff, and to really showcase my own music, and, sort of also show what I'm capable of doing, because I haven't really gotten that chance. I feel like, of course, I've had the chance to show a lot of stuff with Therion, but to really show this side of me, I think that's where it all started. I've wanted to do a solo thing for so many years, since I was a kid. I dreamed about, doing something, the band, something like this. But this whole concept really stuck with me. I've had so many ideas throughout the years about what I want to do, but this one really stuck with me. Doing it live and having this concept about the universe and about science and all of that, it really stuck with me. So I just felt like if it sticks with me this much, then I have to go through with it, So something like that.
Yeah, and, I'm glad to see that it actually did come to fruition. I mean, as much as I do love the work that you've done with Therion, I mean, it's always great as a musician to be able to spread your wings a little bit and explore different territories that you're not necessarily able to do with a main project. So, I mean, the fact that you're able to go in this kind of direction and, exploring all of this with QFT, I mean, of course, exploring science and musical directions that you don't normally hear in Therion. And, it's cool to be able to see that, and it's great to see that growth for you as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. For me, it's been really, as you say, a growth experience with Therion. It's been amazing. I mean, I started with the band when I was 18. I did my first album when I was 16, and at that time, I know now that you're sort of not mature enough to or at least I wasn't mature enough to release any of my own stuff, and I'm really, really happy that I had the possibility. Still, I'm growing with Therion, but I had the possibility to grow with them from such a young age. I mean, that's an insane privilege. I don't know any other person who's been able to start in such an established band from such a young age, and that's invaluable to me. Absolutely invaluable.
So with that, I mean, being able to have that accolades of being a part of such a great established band, when you were finally able to get this to fruition and be able to start something of your own to be proud of, I mean, obviously with the science aspect of it, I mean, that feels like something that you wanted to cover, but musically, did you know this was the direction that you wanted to go in, or did that come later?
I had no idea where I was going, to tell you the truth, because I'm so used to, writing music and from the beginning seeing the end game. And with this project, I did not see the end game, which was really interesting when I started to write the music, because I had no idea where it was going. And I think that sort of also comes through in a good way, because it's such a variety in all the songs and everything. And if I was, set on one thing from the beginning, it would have sounded completely different. But I really decided from the get-go that this is going to just become whatever it becomes. And I'm really proud of what it actually became in the end,
So with that, I mean, just like you mentioned before, you had your drummer with you as well. How much did the sound of the band change when you were able to get a full lineup for this project?
Well, that's quite interesting, because it did change a lot from the demos, because my demos sounded very interesting, with the MIDI sound and stuff like that, and my very questionable guitar playing. But it changed a lot, and obviously the reason I recorded it live was because I wanted to bring that human aspect into the whole project. I want people to hear that these are human beings playing the instruments, and me singing, of course, because there's a lot of stuff being fixed after the recordings, and you cut up all the things, all the music, and you put it together sort of like a puzzle, and then it becomes sort of, you lose some of the humanity in what music really is. So for me, the main thing was to just keep the humanity there. And I think like the transitioning from demo to the actual product was amazing. I couldn't have asked for a better band to perform this. I'm really happy about how it became.
Yeah, and that was another thing that I wanted to point out as well. And one of my favorite things about this album is what you touched upon. Like, real human beings are playing on this album. They're playing the instruments. They're playing it live. And it feels like that's really missing so much of what's going on in 2018. And it's so great that you wanted to have that approach to make sure that it was a real feeling album. Like, you can tell that real musicians are playing this rather than just relying so heavily on what computers can do.
Exactly, and like I don't want to throw any shade on people that use technology to their advantage, because I mean it's a great asset as a musician to have all these technological advancements, and so many bands are using it in a really, really good way. But for me, when I listen to music from more the olden days, I sort of like hearing that there are humans behind those instruments, and I sort of lose, how can I explain this? Like it becomes sort of repetitive in a way which I lose interest quickly when I can hear that it's really fixed, you know. I want to be able to go back to that track and listen to it, and I find something new that I didn't hear listening to it the 100 first times, you know. And I really think if you can do that with this album, you can listen to it a million times and then you find something that you didn't hear before.
Oh, yeah, and just like you said before, I mean, obviously there are musicians out there that are able to do some amazing work when it comes into relying more on what computers can do and being able to do different things like that. But, you know, for a project and an album like this, I mean, just like you said, every time that I go back and listen to this album, I'm able to discover something new, like whether the drums are doing something that I didn't notice before, or a vocal pattern that I didn't notice before, or the tunings, or whatever the case is. I'm always able to discover something new. And sometimes it's hard to do that when everything is just 100% polished and everything is just meant to be in the forefront, and you kind of lose that mystique when everything is just meant to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And that's kind of funny that you say that, like everything being in the front, because I myself, I have this thing. It seems like all talking about vocals, in particular, like so much vocals in today's music is so loud in the mix, and you lose all of that, you know, if you talk about drums, for example, like ghost notes and stuff like that, it totally disappears when the vocals are just in your face. So we were sitting and mixing, and I sat together with our mixing guy. I was like, take down the vocals. He was like, you're probably the first vocalist ever to say that. Bring down the vocals. But, you know, I wanted it to sound like, I'm not fond of that in-your-face vocal sound, at least when it comes to my project. Some bands do that perfectly, but with my project, I didn't want it to be that. You know, I wanted to hear the dynamics and the nuances of the songs.
Oh, yeah, and that's something I really appreciate from that fan perspective as well. I mean, everyone on this album has their moments to shine, and it's not overpowered or overshadowed by anyone else, because everyone is being able to be heard on this album. And, you know, like I said, they get their moments to shine, and, you know, it feels like a real band album, and it's so great to see that.
I'm really happy to hear it. Thank you so much.
Oh,
because that's exactly what we're going for, you know. And me being sort of the dictator, I'm really happy that my laws are good for everyone.
So, and speaking of that, of course, it's always hard to decide what songs are going to be shown off ahead of time as singles to be able to help promote the album. How did you decide what songs are going to be chosen to be able to be heard ahead of time?
I mean, that was a really difficult decision to make. It was really difficult. But, I mean, when you can start off by going on a space adventure, why not do it? We have a song about going into space and being aliens. Of course we're going to start with that one. Because it's fun. Always start with fun first.
Yeah, and, you know, like, that was the first song that I was able to hear. Like, I heard that before I got the full album, so it's like when I got to hear that, it's just, I really love the fun aspect that was going on to the album. And then when I finally heard it in the context of the album, it just fits so naturally where it does on the album.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. I agree with you. I'm really proud of like the order of the album. It feels like it's exactly how it's supposed to be, you know?
Yeah, and you know, it's like obviously with some albums, you know, it's like it doesn't matter too much what the order is going to be, but some albums it is so important to be able to get the tracks in the right order, and it really feels like that was the case with this album. I mean, everything from the end of the universe, starting off the album, all the way through the end. I mean, it feels like all 10 tracks are in the order that they're supposed to be in, segue perfectly how they should, and it just makes for a great album experience.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem. Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm like I said before, I'm still discovering new things every time that I listen to the album. But it's great to hear the ebb and flow that's going through this album. I mean, like the heavy parts in all the right moments, the more melodic moments in all the right moments, and just everything that's going on with this. I mean, with this being a first album, it's great to see the growth that I can already hear in this band, and I can imagine with future recordings that's going to be going on there as well. I just imagine it's going to be getting bigger and better from here on out.
I'm so happy to hear. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to hear that. I hope so too. I really hope that people can appreciate this album, because I really appreciate it myself. Like I said, we produced an album that I would like to hear. For me, that was the most important thing. I would like to sit down and listen to this album, and I'm really happy that I was able to pull that off, you know, to record an album that I'm proud of and that I really want to listen to. So I'm really happy that you're saying these things. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean every word of it, too. I mean, I love being able to promote the bands and artists that I truly care about. And when I got the offer to be able to do this, and when I was able to check out the albums, like, there was no way I didn't want to be able to help promote this, because I feel like this is something that, you know, given the right opportunity, I mean, I could just imagine this just becoming bigger and better from, you know, just from this great album all the way into possible upcoming live shows to new recordings and everything else that's coming on with that. I mean, if you're starting off this strong, I feel like it's only going to get better. I'm
so happy. Thank you so much. I mean, we have our mind set to Wembley Stadium in London, so we're going to end up there, you know, any day now. But I'm so happy you're saying this. Thank you so much.
Oh, not a problem. And like I said, I mean every word of it too. So,
so
with that, I mean, obviously, you've heard my thoughts on the album and the band so far, but what has been other reception that you've heard for the album so far?
Like, as you know, we haven't released the full album yet, so we only released the 2 singles, Aliens and Big Bang.
Yeah.
And, like, the people who come to me, I mean, obviously people are nice, but we've got really good reception so far, and I'm really happy about that. And I tend not to want to look too much, you know, like reading too much of someone says something bad. I try to stay away a little bit from stuff like that until you know, out there and everything. When the album is out, I'm gonna, you know, read more what people think and stuff like that. But so far, so good. I feel like people really appreciate the singles that we released, and I'm really happy about that. It feels really good.
I'm glad to hear that too, and I'm really happy to hear that approach that you're taking with it as well, because I mean, I obviously know that from my experience playing music, or even when I release my interviews, like, I always hear negative reception that comes with that as well, and you know, it's like, it's hard as a human not to overtake that, you know, like if there's like one negative thing in amongst of like 99 positive things, like that negative thing can always stick with you. But I'm glad to see that you're taking that approach, you know, obviously appreciating my feelings towards the album and the band, but you know, just like making sure that you're doing what you want to do. I mean, you started this project, obviously you want to be able to have a fan base with it so you can make it grow bigger and better from here on out. But you know, it's just like when you do have that positive feedback from fans, from reviewers, from people like me talking to you and promoting this album, I mean, it's really important to have that integrity of what you want to do and make sure that you keep that going. Well, of course, making the fan base going, but yeah, you're doing this right.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that. I mean, with the whole thing, like I said before, like maturity and everything, growing with Therion, and I'm really happy that I'm doing this now, because I feel like it's a perfect timing in terms of where I am also as a person and also as a musician, because I've done a lot of growing up in both of those areas. Because if I would have done this when I was 18, I would be smashed by one bad comment, you know, totally smashed. But right now, I feel like I can handle those things pretty well now. I mean, of course, if I would release the album and I would become the Justin Bieber of rock and roll, I wouldn't be happy. but still, I think I would handle if that situation were to happen, which I don't think it will. But then I think I would handle it much better today than I would if it would be 7 years ago. So I think it's absolutely the right time, and also musically, I'm in a place where I know what I want to do, and I have my mindset in the right place. So I'm really happy that this happens now and not sooner and not later. It's the perfect timing for me.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of that, of course, with being full on, being able to help promote this band, and with the album coming out so soon, what is it like for you to be able to balance out these projects like this, and being able to spread out your wings and being able to show off these different styles?
You mean concerning the album, or also like involving Therion?
Yeah, I mean, just like with a new album from Therion coming this year, but already out, but just like being able to have Therion and QFT and everything else that's going on in your world.
Okay, for me that's like where I am right now. I have like the perfect balance of. I mean, we just did a 2.5 month tour through over Europe, and it was a little on the long side for my taste. Like, it was a lot of fun, of course, and we had some great gigs, but it's 2.5 months. It's quite heavy, and when you have 6 shows in a row every week, and then you have Mondays off, you get sort of worn out. So now I came home this Monday, and I'm really happy to be home for a while before we go to Latin America. But where I am right now, concerning like Therion and with QFT, and also my home life and everything else that's going on, I feel extremely happy where I am right now. I'm content, I'm just calm. Everything feels really good. And also now it's the spring weather, and I can sit on my balcony, and I mean, life is good, man.
Yeah, and
it feels perfect.
Yeah, I just got to say it again, from the fan perspective, from a musician aspect as well, it's just like, it's so amazing to see that position that you're in right now. I mean, being able to explore these different territories, whether it's Therion or QFT, and of course your home life as well. I mean, being able to have all these outlets, being able to have time for each of them appropriately, being able to promote as needed, being able to take time off as needed, and just being able to enjoy yourself and having fun while playing music, and even if it's in different styles. I mean, it's so great to be able to see that.
I absolutely agree with you. For me, that's the whole thing. Like, also with everything is around balance, and I think also that sort of comes across in the album, because it's well balanced. Like we talked about the order of the tracks in the album. Balance for me is what makes happiness. Like, if I have a balance between work and balance between the home life and everything, then I'm just content and happy.
Oh, very much so. And getting back into that, getting into like the recording of the album, and just like formulating these songs and being able to get into the studio. What was it like to be in the studio this time around as compared to doing a Therion album?
Well, as for the Therion albums, I only did one where I was a vocalist, and then I was in the studio together with Christopher and Lennart when we were recording this. We recorded the Beloved Antichrist, the whole Mastodon's opera project. Yeah. But obviously, it's very different, because then we have the more conventional, like, first we do the drumming, and then we do the bass, and then we have the guitars and the vocals. More the conventional style. But with doing QFT, like, the main difficulty for me has been being in charge, because I'm not used to that. I'm used to, starting out with Therion I was 18, and I had the tour manager, and I had that person telling me to be at that place at that time, and now I have to sort of pull the threads myself. That was absolutely the most difficult part for me, to be the man in charge, So, but it worked out. I mean, the album is going to come out, and I'm really that is the difficult part for me, to be in charge and be sort of the manager of the whole thing. But I'm learning, and also with the recording and with the studio and booking everything, it was a real learning experience for me, and I'm really happy that I was able to pull it off in the end. I did it, I can do it. So I think it will be much smoother the next time around, but I still think it went really well, and we had a lot of fun in the studio too.
Oh, that's so great to be able to hear that as well. And again, it's great to see that personal growth that's going on. I mean, being able to take on things that you weren't necessarily familiar with, like taking charge like this, and really making everything your own. I mean, of course, having a full band and just like letting everyone have their part of it as well. But just like being able to lead the charge with this band. I mean, it's so great that you were able to adapt to the situation and being able to grow it into the way that it has.
Yeah, in the end, like, I'm so happy how it turned out. Also with where I was at the time, because I had, like I told you, like right now I'm really happy and I'm very content. But at the time when we were recording, like I was going into like I was studying to be a vocal teacher and everything, and I did that 100%. And then I had the album, and then with Therion recordings, it was so much. So I was centimeters from hitting that wall. Like, I was stressed out. But I mean, the fact that I pulled through that and made it happen, I'm really proud of myself for that part. Like, as much as I am for the creative part and the songwriting and everything, I'm really happy that, I'm really proud that I was able to pull that role off as well as I did. I mean, I could have been better at it, but I learned from my mistakes.
Yeah, and that's what's important too. I mean, it's just like sometimes a lot of people can be falling under that kind of pressure, and it's great to see that you were able to, even if there's like dark times going on or just a lot of pressure that's going on. I mean, I'm glad to see that you were able to rise above everything, and being able to really get this balance that's going on. It makes all of the trials and tribulations worth it.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And what was I going to say? I forgot. I'm sorry. I was going to say something really smart, and then it fell out of my head.
I do that to people sometimes. I apologize.
But anyway, like the album, talking about the studio and stuff like that, the fact that I also want to talk about like the rehearsals, because we didn't rehearse a lot before we went into the studio. Like, I was talking to Christopher Johnson from Therion, and we've been doing this 58 gigs or whatever now, and he felt like, oh, if we ever wanted to do a live album, now is the time, because we've been rehearsing 58 times. And I was like, oh, we rehearsed like 3 times or something before we went into the studio. So I'm really happy that we were able to produce such a good album, even though we had so little time to rehearse the stuff in the rehearsal room,
Oh, very much so. And speaking of that, you did mention before there's going to be a Latin tour that's going to be coming up as well. But after that, what's going to be next for you?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. We're working on some stuff to get this out and to do it live, because I feel like this project needs to be performed live. I think it will really come alive when we're on that stage and performing together, because the 4 of us, the first time we ever performed, we did a cover gig in this pub in Stockholm, and it was absolutely magical. It's one of those gigs I will hold forever in my heart, because all of us, we hadn't really performed together. I mean, the drummer George and the bass player Jonathan, they had played together, and also I think George and Mono had been playing together, because Mono was in Dynasty before as well. But us 4, I never played with those guys. And we were sort of unsure what was going to happen, and we went on that stage, and it was just absolutely magical. You were totally in like the flow thing. It was so cool. And I think us 4 on stage is something that you really want to see, because we're working as a real, organism together. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah. And, those moments, I mean, especially with a show like that, being able to do a cover show like that, the first time being able to perform together, it's just like there's going to be a lot of great moments on there, especially if everything goes the way that it's supposed to. And I just imagine those feelings will get even bigger and better, and even more happier moments. I mean, when you're able to perform original music and being able to see what you guys have created together and being able to perform that live.
Exactly. I mean, it's going to be even cooler and even better. And also the plan is to bring on a keyboard player, because that's one of the things that's not recorded live on the album is the keyboards. So I really want to bring a keyboard player to be able to not perform everything with a click and with the backing tracks, just to make it completely live and completely real. When we're standing on that stage, it's got to be what you see is what you hear, and what you see is what you get,
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask about that too, about like everything else that was added to the album. So I'm glad to see that's already being thought of, and just like if everything does come to fruition with that, getting the live keyboardist to be able to have that a part of it. I mean, that's just going to make the live shows even better.
Yeah, I agree. And like the bigger we get, the more stuff we are going to be able to do. Like my dream is to bring a section of people that can do backing vocals as well. Of course, that's the question of financial stuff and, just practical reasons that it's very difficult to do. But most guys in the band are really good singers as well, so they can pull up and do the backing vocals. But for the future, I really want to have, that whole experience with real backing singers as well for the future.
Oh, and it's awesome to see that those goals are already in mind with what you want to do in the future, and of course with the next album as well, and just like all these hopes and dreams that hopefully do come to fruition with everything. But until then, I mean, it's great to see what's going on with this album. It's great to see the ideas that you want to do for upcoming touring and everything, and just hearing how happy you are being able to talk about this. I mean, I can just hear it in your voice how happy you are to be able to talk about this amazing album, this amazing band that you've been able to put together with a bunch of amazing musicians, being able to continue on in the future like that. And it's awesome to hear how excited you are with all of it, and I'm so happy to be able to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I'm so happy to talk to you too. You really bring out the best in me, Josh.
I don't think I can ask anything else now. I mean, I think that's like the perfect way to be able to end this. But no, seriously. Thank you so much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about this. And just like I was saying, I'm so happy to see how happy you are being able to promote this album, promote this band, and just like all of these things that are going on. Of course, with your home life, and of course with Therion and everything that's going on with that. It's amazing to see the balance that you got going on here. The press days, being able to talk about everything, and just hearing how happy you are. And it gives me hope that other musicians are going to be able to pull off similar as well, being able to open their wings and be able to explore all these great musical territories and remain happy with what they're doing.
Exactly. I really want to promote that sort of healthy approach to music, to sort of stay in your childhood state and just be happy and play with it because it's fun. It's music, You're always threading that thin line between taking it really seriously and then taking it not seriously at all, just being like a kid. Like one day it's life or death. It's just music is everything. It's my life. And then the next day you're like, oh, it's so much fun, But to try to stay on that line, to balance it both ways, I think it's really important. I really want to promote that attitude towards music.
And right there, I think that's the perfect note to end on. Once again, thank you so very much for being able to talk to me about everything that's going on with QFT, and of course talking about the debut album, which is coming out the 4th of May through Despotz Records.
Yes.
I love this album to death. I love what you're doing with this band. I love being able to see this side of you, being able to get these great musicians to be able to help get that vision out there, being able to add their own flair to the music as well. And I just imagine with the live shows and future releases that are going to be coming out, that things are just going to be getting bigger and better from here on out. And, between your home life, between Therion, between QFT, I really appreciate you taking the time to be able to talk to me.
Yeah, but thank you. It was really great talking to you too, Josh. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, not a problem. Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to mention that I hadn't brought up yet?
I don't know. I think we pretty much covered all the important stuff.